What's that? Okay, I'll call the meeting to order for the Town of Acton, Maine Selectmen's meeting for April 16th. The live feed for the meeting to be aired live is not working again tonight. There was a part that has failed last week. The parts have been ordered as of last Thursday, but they just haven't come in yet. So, that being said, first item, salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Minutes of the last meeting?
The minutes are going to be tabled.
Okay. We can do that. Department heads and committee chair update.
That's me.
It works.
All right, I'm just here to fill you in on the conversation we had at the last meeting regarding the gym. We had a meeting last month to discuss it, and basically the Recreation Committee just wanted more information from the insurance about exactly what it is that the requirements will undertake, because we can't really make a decision on how much work it's going to be until we know how much work that they need. So I'm just waiting on getting that information, and we'll put that forward to the board.
Can you, or you haven't sent that?
He's
over?
asked me for it. He hasn't gotten it yet, no.
Okay.
Yep, that's no problem. And we also, as a group, went over and had a look at the George Me building, as you know, to see if that was a viable option for doing anything for a community centre. Turns out it really wasn't. Didn't have the structure or the scale for what we would want to do. So we're investigating other options, which we'll be discussing tomorrow. And the final thing I wanted to just bring your attention to is we want to be able to hold an Acton. We originally started calling it an Acton Fair, but that kind of name was taken, we understand. So we're going to call it something different, an Acton Pride Carnival, something like that, to take place 20th of July down at the rec field. And I've given Jennifer a list of the kind of things we're looking to do, and we just want to get that run by the insurance to see what they say, yay or nay to, and if we have to have any additional permits or whatever we need. So that's pretty much it from my side. If you had any questions for me, I'll do my best to answer them.
I did email them the Acton Pride documents, but do you want to just kind of go over it with them and give them a rundown of what you have planned?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. The kind of things we're talking about, actually offering the community craft tables for local vendors to be able to sell things there, cake baking contest, tug of war contest, have a touch a truck. Now, I don't know what this is. They told me about a fireman's muster. I guess maybe you guys know what it is. Obviously, having food and beverages available, having stalls like Hook a Duck, Dunk Tank, general carnival kind of stalls, a bounce house, bounce slip and slide, and hopefully, with the generosity of the community, being able to do it a kind of a free event, so that it's just open for everybody. It's not going to cost anybody anything, and just through the sponsorships that we can get and local donations.
Wow.
That's the long-term plan.
Sounds
Be
great.
fun.
I hope so.
Yeah.
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 Thank you.
I'm quite happy with this new improved, I shouldn't say new and improved, the new vitality.
Invigorated.
Yeah, the rec committee has. I mean, everybody that's on it's doing a great job, and it's nice to see. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other department heads, committee chairs? Nope. Okay. Move on to old business. EMA Director, 911 Operation Job Description.
So Ken's staff is back this week. Mine is back at the end of the week, so we're hoping to have something for you by next Tuesday, one way or the other, or just advertise it if it's not something we can sneak in.
Okay. I had a brief conversation with someone that might be interested in the EMA side of it.
Perfect.
Someone that does not live in town, but you don't have to live in town unless act, we don't have anything that says you have to live in town.
Not that I'm aware of, I'd have to double check.
Okay, because EMA does not have a problem with that. York County EMA.
Right, I mean, we don't have a charter or any
Yeah.
local ordinances,
Okay.
so.
Okay. Row Bridge.
So as I understand it, in regards to the road commissioner piece of it, he has put the barriers there.
Yeah.
He says it's there, and as I understand it, he's waiting to get some quotes to get it fixed. HEB, I got the message from Elise today. We sent them an email asking them, now that the snow is gone, when they thought they were gonna be able to come out and take a look at it. They know the calendar we're on, so as soon as I get a response, I will forward that to you. We talked a little bit about what Maine Municipal and them going after the car. I guess trying to figure out the difference between the damage that the vehicles did on the 2 accidents and what you're looking to have done to it. But that's why you're doing the engineering report,
Yep.
I presume. So, you tell me what you want me to do with Row Bridge.
Well, I guess in the meantime, in addition to the damage that's already there, there's been some issues that the road committee noticed.
Did you contact the road commissioner?
No, I mean, I don't know, did you guys?
No, I did not. I was hoping that he was going to be there last night, but he wasn't for
Well,
our
it was,
meeting. I do have video, which at least I showed you earlier today, of the water bubbling up, and we're afraid that it's coming from across the street on the at the bottom of Hussey Hill and going underneath the road, which is eventually going to weaken the road and cause damage on the road, and then we'll have bigger problems. There's culverts on both sides of the bridge that are, water is directly running right into the river, so there's a lot of erosion going into the river. And the one culvert on Hussey Hill, I know Gavin was also down there yesterday and pulled out some of the debris that was blocking one of the culverts, so, but
So
there's.
I think-
it sounds like somebody needs to contact the road
Yeah, I
commissioner.
would
We
think that-
still believe this is their responsibility, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're definitely, he needs to get out
You're
there.
gonna see that water issue that you saw mostly when it's raining, but it doesn't hurt to, bring them
Yeah.
down
I
when
mean,
it's
well, I
dry.
was there Sunday before the rain, and it was doing that Sunday also.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
I would-
and then it was worse yesterday after we had the rain.
You've got all that snow up on top of Hussey Hill that melts every year, it always comes
Yeah.
down. I mean,
So, but,
that's-
I mean, I wanted to see it, before and after we had the rain, and my weather gauge said we had .69 inches of rain.
it
So,
rained.
And we have more coming.
it wasn't even an inch of rain that, created a bigger problem. And if, I don't know how to post a video from my phone, because it's too big for me to email. So if someone has any ideas how I can, get that video to you, please let me know, because I'd be happy to send it to you.
Well, I mean, Joe's number's
Public, absolutely, yeah.
I
I
would-
mean, and sticking with the elected road commissioners, I mean, that's the first step, is to
Yeah.
contact the road commissioner. I mean, I know he's appointed right now filling shoes, but the step one has got to be to contact him, and really before the board, I mean, they can step in, but they shouldn't step in until you give him a chance to do his job.
Right.
So until somebody reaches out to him, and, I don't know how aware he is or isn't of this, so I
I would
don't know.
find ask him for a date and time to have you meet him down there and discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you don't have his number, let me know, I'll give it to you, his cell
Okay.
phone.
All right, thank
And you
you.
should be able to send a video to his phone.
The file is too big.
Oh, to
So it
send
won't
to,
let-
oh,
So that's what the problem is, that because I tried to do it, and I don't know how to reduce the
Size of it.
down to make it.
okay.
Eric might
Elise,
be able to
if you
help you.
did get a chance to,
After the meeting,
maybe,
Eric
maybe.
says maybe after the meeting he can help you.
As
There we
far
go.
as the accidents on the bridge were concerned, we have pictures before and after of the damage. Very little occurred from the car damage. The large piece that's on the ground behind is covered with algae and has been there before, and we have pictures from 2015 that show that. Essentially, you had just a very small piece at the top. And my concern would be that if they got an attorney also, they would notice that the bridge is improperly posted. So we could get in trouble for that.
Improperly posted.
The road, it hasn't been, as of December 18th, I haven't seen any changes
How
from
is this
when we got that back. Well, we got it was directed to you, Joe, and I, from Pete Coughlin. And he was concerned about Flat Ground Road and the condition that was in after we did the inventory, and then wrote the note that the bridge was not properly posted.
Yeah.
And so that leaves us with liability issues. Also, I don't think you can sue anybody that can't afford insurance for their cars.
Right, and New Hampshire
Yeah.
doesn't,
Well, New Hampshire,
No.
we don't know that they couldn't afford it technically. I mean, they were New Hampshire residents, so it wasn't required, but you,
Well,
possible.
come on, if you got a car, you insure it if it's worth anything. I think that's kicking blood out of a stone. When
Okay,
the
let's- no,
engineer
that's neither
comes,
here nor there, so let's.
yeah, when the engineer comes, I think the road committee should go down with him. We have more knowledge on the bridge than the road commissioner at this point.
Is that something the board wants to instruct?
Your advice on this?
It seems like, not the whole committee. I don't think the whole committee needs to go.
No, but you've got to have somebody there that knows the bridge and what the whole condition is, because Chris is walking into it, as of Joe, cold.
I think that before the road committee, I think Joe should at least be there with him as well, HEB. I don't know exactly. who's
Well,
gonna
you
do
may have HEB coming back twice if Joe doesn't know where the culverts are and hasn't been there at all. We're merely offering to help you. If you want to do whatever you want to do, it's your job. You can see that, that's how it is now. You guys are essentially in charge of this, and it's your
Well,
responsibility.
I guess what I would ask first is if HEB wants people with him. Sometimes they may not want somebody with them, but I guess I would ask HEB first, and if so, then yes, I would send two,
Well,
the
do
road
they-
We're
commissioner-
offering to help.
Yep.
We don't have to.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
if they don't, okay, so.
All right, that's Joe's side. Oh,
All right,
Let's see if we can clear this up. So, Joe Letourneau's pointed to the South End District. Myself, Dave Langley, pointed to the North End District. As when we took onto this role, we were sworn in by Jennifer Rowe in her office to due diligence our job that needs to be done, following the statute of what the definition of a road commissioner is in the state of Maine, right?
correct.
Okay,
Yes.
so if I stand there and raise my hand up on the right hand, and me and Jennifer have that swearing-in conversation, that's our job to do what needs to be done. Now, you're telling Mrs. Hart that no, that how do I want to say this? That the road commissioner needs direction from the selectmen. Well, if you look at what the definition of a road commissioner is, he's responsible for bridges, highways, roads, and culverts, and maintenance. So we're to the point where we're not, how do I want to say?
What are you trying to say, David? That
No,
that they're
What I'm trying
they're
to say is let the road
overstepping?
commissioner do his job.
Right.
And if
Well,
he
that's what
needs
we
to
would
do
say,
it,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? She should have the right to say, hey, we have information we have, and let's get together and.
Well, that's why we told her to call Joe directly.
That's-
Yes,
yeah,
okay,
that's
so
what
we just want to make
said.
this clear, because it seems like we're at that
No,
spot
we
where.
want them to call,
Okay,
call
so-
and then talk with them, let them know,
Okay.
what they've seen, and then, meet with them and then go from there.
Okay. I just want to clarify that, because we're sworn in as
Right.
officials to
Right.
do this.
Yep.
And I guess what I'm trying to say is you keep saying we're appointed. We're not, we're there to fill in that term, to finish that term out, but we also have to follow what the directions of
Right.
the state law says.
Right.
I'm not trying to keep anybody from doing
Okay.
their job.
No, I'm not, I'm just saying we
I
just
want them
need
to be able to do their job first before somebody else tries to step in.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to clarify that
Yeah.
there is a definition that we have to follow, and we want to make sure, that's all. Good?
Yep, thanks. Okay, anything else in road bridge? All set with road bridge?
I'm just thinking about the HEB part of it, I guess, we find out if,
Yeah, I think the first step is to find out when he plans to come, and it
Yeah.
would be nice if Joe could be with them if the HEB
he
wants
needs
people
to.
around. I don't know what their business is like. Maybe they don't want civilians around when they're
I'll
trying to do their
Send
job.
another email and CC you
Yeah.
guys in it.
get that
Okay.
information, and then we can go from there.
Okay. 7th Street?
As we talked about in our pre-workshop to some extent, 7th Street is still hoping to get on the agenda, on the town warrant. I spoke to Mr. Cody last week, or within the last few days, and he understands that we're waiting for the engineer report as specified in there, and then we'll turn it over to you guys to determine this whole 34-foot
Yep.
piece that the two attorneys haven't quite agreed on yet.
Okay, sounds good. Draft ordinance.
So I know that you guys have had the road committee ordinance, the road commissioner ordinance. I know that the road committee met last night, so I'm looking for input from the board as to changes, comments, anything that you want me to do to them at this point after. I know Elise was there. I showed you guys one of the road committee. I'm not sure if that was a road committee draft or just one individual, but nevertheless, you saw that opinion. Are there changes that you want to make or thoughts?
Well, from what I heard last night, the road committee doesn't agree at all with the ordinance. They think,
Which one?
I was assuming the road committee ordinance.
Okay.
I don't think they responded about the
road
road
committee.
commissioners. They weren't in agreement that they had to be kind of told what to do, that they were elected by the town floor, and they should be able to do their duties according to MMA, and considering them being quasi-independent.
I thought we were asked from some of the road committee to get a job description together.
I know. It's confusing because I guess either way,
Okay.
what they had suggested is that we should have done a workshop with the road commissioners and the road committee.
Okay.
Well, nothing's cast in stone yet. I
No,
mean,
nothing's cast in
This is
stone.
just a-
It
This is
was,
just a
So you
first
have to
draft.
start somewhere. You know,
That's what I-
you're not gonna put a thing like that together, sitting down with 15 people.
and if
you
they
know?
requesting a workshop, then let's have
Yeah.
a workshop.
Yeah,
Yep,
so
we
I
can do
think,
that.
I think we put something together, we put it out to them, and, now's the time to get some information back, so.
Yep.
Yep,
I
You
think
want to
that,
schedule?
Yeah. set
yeah, I
up a-
think we
if
should
could-
schedule something.
Right, so you have your public hearing scheduled for
It's Monday?
Monday, the 22nd. And, I mean, it doesn't do a whole lot of good to go before the entire town with these two secret ballot questions
Right.
if you're gonna rewrite, I don't say you're gonna, if it's gonna be completely changed. So,
Possibly, we could have the public hearing, hear from the public, and then have a workshop. So that when we sit in the workshop, we're having the public's opinion in addition
but I
to,
think if we change it,
Well,
we've gotta go back and have another public hearing, don't we?
which you may have to anyways. I mean, depending on how many changes you made.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna be best off to have another public hearing anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you know that the road committee is not in agreement with any of it, then chances are you may make enough changes that's gonna require another, I mean, you can't have too many
Okay.
public hearings.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's something the voters are gonna vote on, so,
I guess what I'd like to see at this point is if the road committee has issues with it, or things they wanna see changed, get them back to us in writing, and we'll see what we can do with it, and we'll have the public hearing, get the public's input on it, and, like I say, nothing's cast in stone yet, so it's.
The only problem is, this is being rushed through. The document itself, the ordinance itself is sloppy. There's a lot of problems. I mean, things are not clear. Just a couple examples, our road commissioners voting members. It doesn't clearly state that in there. It also states in there that, every single email needs to go to every single person on the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator. Is there any other committee in this town or board in this town that is required to email you every single email?
This is why we put it out as a draft. So,
But you're-
that's good input to get back to us with.
And you do have,
No.
my, a copy of what I stated last night.
Okay.
So you do have something
Yeah.
in writing.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure that I can, that I and the rest of the committee can go through and,
And that's what you should be doing, is going through that and coming up with some changes or whatever you think that,
but I think this is being rushed. I also think that it's a problem that it's going to be a secret ballot, because I think that it's limiting discussion. One public hearing on an ordinance,
we just get done saying there may be several on this.
that's not what you were saying before.
We do what we need to do.
So,
Okay.
I mean, the
Don't come up here
ordinance,
and start screaming at us, telling us what what you want to see changed, get it as a group, bring it in, this is what needs to get done.
I'm not, first
I
of all,
mean,
I'm
it's
not
just-
screaming.
Well, I'm just
And-
tired of,
I'm
you
pointing-
folks
I'm
wanted
pointing out-
something, we
I'm
put something
pointing
out, and now
out-
we're getting chastised over it,
Yeah,
so.
I'm pointing out problems with this ordinance
Okay.
that was written basically in secret, and, which I have a problem with. Putting a notice on the, outside the, in Town Hall is not proper notice. It was not on the
I don't like that you
website.
use the word secret, because
No.
we're not doing anything in secret. It's out there.
It was
Yeah.
on the website?
I
The
don't know if
notice
it's
was on the website?
When they meet when they meet on Thursdays at 7 to review it, it was on, if they
office
had
is
a
open, the
workshop,
door
if
is
they had a
open.
workshop from 7 to 8, which is when I think they drafted this in between customers, yes, it would have been on the website. Not under, not under meetings, because it wasn't a meeting, it was a workshop. If
Because I
they
did not see
If
any
they
of
met, that would be on the homepage. If they met from 7 to 8, when the office is open, in between to scratch this together, which if I recall, that's when you guys worked on
Yeah,
this.
it was.
Yeah.
On a
It definitely would have
Thursday.
been on the website and posted in the hallway.
I did not see it, and I do look at the Acton website several times a week, so I do monitor that.
We have no reason to
But
do
there-
anything in
there's a
secret.
lot of problems with this ordinance as written.
Well, that's why, we
Well,
want you to
I
look
can
at
tell
it
you that
and
the
work with
ordinance
us.
now is nothing. It gives you nothing,
Well,
nothing. That's why
we're
nobody
an
was,
advisory board. We have no power to do anything except be noisy.
and we were trying to give you power in this ordinance.
No,
To-
you
To
weren't.
give you, yeah,
You were not.
okay. That's,
I don't have a copy of the ordinance in front of me. I wished I did, because
mine if
it
you want.
clearly states in the ordinance. No other duties shall be permitted or performed by this committee without approval from the majority of the Board of Selectmen. We are elected, we're an elected board. And back in 2012, another select board questioned what the rights were of the road committee. And I stated that in the statement I made, what the MMA said. And the MMA said that we were a partially independent board and that we had the rights to set our own agenda and to call our own meetings. So
And
that does not,
That's absolutely true, unless the townspeople vote in an ordinance, like Warren and Finance, that regulates what a committee can or can't do. The
I
town may
mean, we're
not
an
vote it in.
advisory board. I mean, I'm not quite sure what your problem
So
is.
what are some of the other
with
things we
anything
had-
that we do.
what are some of
We
the other
spend an
things on
awful
there
lot of
that
time
offer
trying
you-
to help this town, and it doesn't feel like you appreciate that?
that's incorrect. Because look at the warrant. How many warrant articles are from the road committee?
No.
This year?
Yes,
And
this
last
year. We have the bridges and culverts on it. We have the
And that is be-
engineering.
We haven't seen any of that. That would make us feel a lot better if this was
Yeah.
shared with us and we could have a part in that.
You haven't seen any of the draft ordinance?
No, we have not.
No, none of us.
There's no draft ordinance, no, wait a minute, you have a draft warrant,
Right.
that you have warrant articles on, that you've turned over to the
Warrant and
Warren and
Finance.
Finance. I mean,
Which we need to get their recommendations.
that we are getting there, I mean,
Yeah.
unless you asked me to, or somebody asked for it, I mean,
no,
that would
it's
be
not.
like,
Still a
that would
draft.
be like
Right.
delivering the warrant to every single
Yeah.
person in the town.
No,
back.
it's still a draft, so.
I mean, I think they're aware that there's money set aside for
It should be,
bridges and
because someone would
culverts.
have told us,
Well,
advised us
they
that that
attend-
should go on, so.
They attend each meeting, so I
Yeah.
think, there's no ordinances on there, don't want to misspeak.
No.
There was, they put money aside for bridges and culverts, and what was the other thing you did?
The preliminary for the culverts
Right.
on H
Yeah.
Road Goose Pond.
And how did
Yep.
that occur? That occurred because of the initiative of the road committee.
Yes.
Went out and said, we need to do this.
Right.
Where if you look at your ordinance.
So we're trying to work with
No
you.
duties shall be performed or permitted unless we have your approval. So you are removing the initiative of the road committee.
But what else is on that ordinance?
The turnaround easements, you've had that paperwork for several years and have sat
Which
on
we were
it.
stalled by the previous road commissioners, telling us not to do it when they told us to do it. And, come
And
on,
then-
look at what we were dealing with. And we're trying to get things straightened out, and I think we're on a good path, but now you're saying we're not.
I think that's the biggest concern was.
No, I don't see anything in this ordinance that says, let's work together. I'm sorry, I don't see that.
Okay?
Okay, well, moving on, new business. we have Richard Neal.
Good evening.
Hi.
How you doing?
I think you've all seen the email that I sent out to everybody. And I'm quite proud. Has anybody got a copy of the book?
Not yet.
They're available
They will.
either at the library or I happen to have some copies. They're for everybody that doesn't know. I published a book a few months ago about the schools of Acton, Maine, and there's 200 years of history. Taken me about 5 years to put it together. And all the proceeds will be going to the Lincoln School. The main purpose for me being here tonight, I guess, is see if you got any questions. My email sought the cooperation or whatnot, or what I'm really looking for is to preserve the Lincoln School and make it available not only to the Historical Society, but the main part is for the school, the Acton Elementary School itself. We have a principal superintendent now that is very enthused about history. He's assigned a teacher, the social studies teacher for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, who will have the responsibility of teaching the kids about the history of Acton and the history of the schools,
Nice.
which was never done in the past. When I came up with the idea, I had a talk with the principal a number of years ago as a volunteer, and I asked if the kids had if any of the teachers taught about the history. She said no. And it just kind of got me that all of a sudden here's the kids in Acton going up through the 8th grade and not knowing any history of the town. And then if they go off to high school down to Sanford or wherever they go and they have a local history course at the high school level, they're going to be teaching about the towns where that particular high school is. So we have generations of kids growing up that'll never know anything about the history or have any appreciation for the history. Now, it just so happens, maybe in my younger days, I wasn't that interested either, but both with my approximately 10 years as a selectman here in the town of Acton and my membership in the Historical Society, I got a chance to look quite a bit into the history. And one of the things that helped me immensely here, I don't know, again, how many people know it or whether all the selectmen know it, that about 5 years ago, I was able to assemble 145 years of town reports. Goes all the way back to 1869. And so that gave me a lot of facts about the schools that weren't available to people before. And so the ones, the Acton Chaplain Historical Society offered to turn around and help raise funds for the preservation. We have a little over 11,000. I turned around and deposited from the sales of my book in the last few weeks, $720. And this summer, I think we'll have good luck in selling many of the other books.
That's great.
So I'm looking for the town's support of preserving the school, and by working as a joint thing, I'm not looking for, trying to dump it on you and say, okay, I want to preserve it, but you got to pay for it. The taxpayers are going to pay for it. If anything, what I used to do as a selectman, and somebody came to me like I'm doing this evening, I'd offer back, I'd say, I'll tell you what, you raise it, whatever money you can raise, and we'll match it, or we'll fill in the gap if you can't reach your goal, instead of just turn around and expect the taxpayers to pay for it. So if we're lucky, I'd like to see a committee set up to, look into it, to see what needs to be done. I've been working with Jen to turn around and identify the primary things that affect the insurance, so we make sure we get liability on it. And so the town, you folks in the town won't have to worry about if somebody gets hurt up there.
Are you wanting to, I know you said they'll be teaching the kids in school,
Yeah.
About these schools and stuff. Are you wanting to like bring the kids from the school for like a field trip there and
Yeah.
stuff like that? Okay.
Yeah, that's what they're, looking for is that
Okay.
when the teacher is teaching about the history,
Yep.
that she could call up and get, permission, make the arrangement, and either, make the arrangement for the key or whatnot,
Okay.
and be able to take a class up and let the kids see what it was like learning grades 1 through 8, 100 years ago.
I think it's a good idea. It's on the
True.
list of, the
Yeah,
registry, right? Do you have a project list and how much it would cost to get it up?
No, that's what I'm looking for is,
So,
if
Mr.
we
Neal,
could set up a committee to turn around.
Okay, you'd like a committee.
so I did speak to Susan, not to interrupt, I did speak to Susan Caston at Maine Municipal after you and I emailed back and forth in our last conversation. And she indicated to me that it is still covered on insurance under liability and comp, so that hasn't changed. The value is fairly low, and you and I can look over
Yeah.
those numbers. We talked about the Historical Society and some of the things, what we had talked about, some of the things that you talked about maybe wanting to do, and that's what she had asked for, was a specific list. We want to make sure that there's some question about the content inside, and if it's going to be opened up to the public, is it, so I'm not sure that, I guess the first step would be to come up with a list of things that, and who's going to do them, because I thought when we
Right.
had talked originally, you mentioned the Historical Society was going to be a big part of that, or we were
Well,
hoping maybe they could?
They were, but the interest, this is one of the problem I'm having, is that majority of the board is from Shapley,
Shapley.
and their interest
Is it
in
Chaplain?
Shapley.
Okay.
And the other one comment that gets thrown at me once in a while is, well, we don't own that. That belongs to the town. Why should we turn around and, my outlook is that the mission of the Historical Society is to turn around and preserve the building, whatever building, historic buildings and sites in both towns, okay? And of course, I have a little more attachment since I spent the last 29 years, or previous 29 years here. And to be honest with you, I'll be 88 years old this year. So I'm starting to run out of steam, and I just can't carry the ball. I'm looking to
So
pass it on to.
You said the Acton Chapley Historical Society has $11,000 earmarked just
Yes.
for Lincoln School, in addition to the book sales.
Right.
That's a good chunk.
Substantial.
Yeah, I think it's a good start.
Yeah.
If we had a committee, whether it was appointed by the town or the selectmen or a volunteer, somebody that's going to work cooperatively, because it is a town building and whatnot, that this committee or people that would be guiding the project could have their own fundraisers also. So I think between a combination of what we're getting from my book, what we get from donations at the Historical Society, and fundraisers that would be minimal impact on the, for the taxpayers,
So, Mr. Neal, do you think it would be good if we advertise something to see if we could get a couple of people that might want
Yeah.
to join a subcommittee or something for
Yeah.
Lincoln School from Acton? Can we give out your contact information for a little more
Yeah.
information about it?
Yeah, I'm willing to help and provide the guy, but I'm slowing down, believe me.
So is the board okay with me advertising something to see if
Yeah.
we can
Yeah, I
find a
think it'd be
few
great.
people?
Sure.
And then,
Sure.
If anybody's got any ideas or whatnot, but, the main purpose in talking with Jen is, and my email was to, I didn't want to, go one way and you guys didn't know what I'm doing and whatnot. It's got to be a cooperative thing,
Right.
now, the Historical Society got the Grange in Chapley, right?
right?
And I'm just, nobody jump out of their seats, but would the town consider giving the Historical Society the Lincoln School? mean, wouldn't they be a better place to preserve it than,
Well, as I say, they
that a
got going on
conversation to
that, and
have?
that is a much bigger project.
Okay.
And they've had very good luck. They've had a donation of $25,000. They've had a grant from Tom's of Maine for $20,000.
Oh, wow.
And quite a
Is this the
few,
Grange thing?
other donations, so
Oh,
they're going great guns over there, and I have a problem of slowing them down to make sure that we're getting the right things done. So,
Okay. Yeah,
I'll
I
get
would
on it
say.
tomorrow.
Yep.
if there's
great.
no other questions, I
Nope.
thank you.
No,
No,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
All right.
spearheading this and getting it
And
going.
as I say, if anybody is interested, I have copies, a few copies here tonight, or you get them from still some over the library?
the library, yep.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Okay, Tattle Street.
So Tattle Street turned in their request for Article 43 funds today. So I am going to, as I understand the process, scan and email it over to the Board of Selectmen and the Road Committee, and they'll take a look at it. I did let Tattle Street know that tonight was just informational. They do plan on, I think, coming next week to give you more information after you've had a chance to look at it.
Okay,
So I'll scan and send it to all of you tomorrow.
sounds good. Thank you. Paving.
So paving. One of the road commissioners, both the road commissioners maybe, so paving came up, I guess it came up at Warren and Finance last night. So did a little research. So on August 29th of 2017, the Board of Selectmen made a motion and seconded to accept a bid from F.R. Carroll through December 31st of 2018. So, because if you remember, we went out to bid quite late, it was August of 17, you decided to do it to the end of the calendar year because you wanted to get on a calendar year. We know that December of 18, January, February, this last couple of months, been a little busy with road-related stuff in winter, so we do not have it awarded to anybody at this point. So, if one of the current road commissioners is looking to budget or come up with numbers for Warren and Finance, I have to think that the last few years would give you a rough idea, and certainly I can show you those bids, but we need to think about going out to bid
Yeah,
forward
let's-
again.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yep, yep. And I've been thinking earlier too, we probably need to go out to bid on the lawn maintenance.
We can, yeah, I was hoping to put that on the agenda for next week.
Okay, that's fine.
You have awarded it to the same contractor, for X amount of years, even with a slight increase, so I was hoping to present that to you next week. So you don't have to go out to bid, that's gonna be your choice,
Yeah, Another
so,
dollar amount.
Yeah.
So, okay,
so we'll look at that next week, if it's okay?
sounds good. Okay, anything else on paving?
Nope, so I'm gonna draft something up, it's gonna be similar to last year, I'll let both
Yep.
road commissioners look at it, and we'll get it posted.
Sounds good. Okay, stream crossing grant.
That's Elise.
So I had a chance to look at that, well, yesterday, it got printed off for me. It looks like it's definitely something we should do. It will pay up to $95,000. It is a matching grant. They won't pay for the whole project outright. They'll pay for 50% of the project, up to $95,000. So it sounds like, and it's due in a few weeks, June something, which is gonna be before our town meeting. I don't know if it's something we should just go ahead and apply for. If we get it, have a special town meeting
Makes sense.
to have the matching
Yeah.
grants
Yeah.
Can we
accepted.
do that based on what our,
I would give you the same advice I gave them last week when it
Yeah.
came up, to speak to the treasurer. She
Yeah,
covers all
okay.
of the grants, and
Okay.
that warrant article, that's her area of expertise, so.
what does this,
So-
what does this grant, what can it be used for?
Bridges, stream crossing, so bridges,
Okay.
culverts,
50,
Okay.
yeah, 50% of the score is going to be based on whether it affects basically fish and other wildlife. They will pay for up to 8% of the grant for engineering, so you don't have to have your engineering done. The road committee is going to start having a couple of workshops to start looking at this and starting to try to get the applications as complete as we can, because the scope of the information that's required is really pretty extensive. So we'll be working with the road commissioners in order to get information on costing out these projects, because that does have to be included.
Does it have to be
And-
for one specific project, or?
Yes.
Okay.
You can apply for more than one grant, but, like, we're looking at H Road, we're looking at West Shore. I'd like to see us be looking at the culvert on New Bridge, because that one is undersized also. And that goes from Horn Pond to Wilson Lake. So, like I said, we're going to be setting up workshops to start to get this stuff, to gather all of the information, because the grants were released on April 9th, and it's an 8-week window in order to apply. So we don't have a whole lot of time to get everything pulled together.
I guess I'd like to get Michelle's input on this, because it does say that, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to make application for, so long as it doesn't encumber the town.
Right.
So it sounds like we can't apply for it if it's encumbering the town.
Well, you don't have to start spending the money right away.
This
But
says
the
we
whole
can't, this says we
applica-
can't even apply for it, though.
Right.
The way this is
Yeah.
written, so I think that needs to be rewritten for town
So I mean,
meeting.
if that's the case, then, I mean, if we're not going to change the warrant in order to allow us to do that, then
No, I
it
think we
would,
need to change the warrant.
That's what we're
it would,
saying.
know,
That's what we're
Right, and
saying.
that
We
was-
need-
I don't
That's
want
why
to be
we need
wasting hours, hundreds of
Well, I'm
hours
saying
of
we
our
need to change the
time.
warrant, so I would continue ahead on working on the grant,
Okay.
so.
So, right, because that warrant article would only be in place until June 30th, assuming that's
Right.
the legal interpretation of it. There may be something
Right.
Okay.
around it, because towns apply for grants all the time.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it may not be, it may just be the way it's construed, so
Yeah.
don't take that to heart.
Okay.
No.
The way
Yeah.
that's worded, but, and I can't stress it enough, I said last Tuesday, the first thing somebody should have done
Yeah.
last week, and I'm not putting this on you, is I talked to
No, this is
Michelle
up-
and.
yeah, You brought this forward, and we
Right,
told you
and-
last week, get a hold of
No, no.
Michelle. and-
Well, I'm
Somebody's
thinking about
right.
talking with her tomorrow.
Somebody needs
but-
to ask
Yep.
her and start there.
I'd say
because you're right, you
my
can
understanding
get
of,
going.
of talking to Michelle was if an individual could apply for it, which that was incorrect. It's,
Right.
it
Yeah,
was
so
the
either way, if it
town.
has the town's name, I mean, that's what happened when we
Yeah.
did the Goat Hill grant. We kind of got ahead of themselves, and there was some backpedaling, and there was some legal work that had to happen because we missed that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
step. So I was just trying to help
Right,
with that.
right.
And while you're up here, and the board may not want me to do this, but the whole road commissioner thing and road committee thing, the purpose of them drafting these two was, first of all, they kept hearing that the road commissioner needed some sort of job description. I mean, we can agree on that, that many people have said that. And the same thing came true, what the road commissioners are saying about the road committee, is that, and even the road committee, we don't know what we're supposed to be doing. So,
Right.
what I've been saying to the board, and I think that you've heard some of this, and what I'm continuing to try to say, is that they have to give specific instructions, and I think we said just last week that maybe the road committee doesn't have enough, but the road commissioners need to know what the road committee's job is, so they're not doing it. The road committee needs to know what the road commissioner's job is, so they're not doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're trying to find a happy medium,
But
and I'm
the-
not saying that these are right.
I think that the issue that we
That
need
was
to
the
really be
goal.
focusing on is the communication between the selectmen, the road committee, and the road commissioners. I think we're making some progress in that. I mean, I know, I personally have had several discussions with one of the road commissioners that have been very productive and very helpful, and I am confident that, that relationship will continue. And that's what we need to do. I mean, my view of the ordinance as written is it's divisive.
Right.
And
I think they were just trying to
that's not
give
what we need.
I think they were just trying to give specifics, so that when somebody, when somebody runs for road commissioner, they know what their job is, and they know that the road committee is not going to step in and do their culverts and their bridges and their A, B, and C, because the road commissioners, as you know from history, they believe, that's their job.
Yeah, and
So-
you look at the duties that were given to the road committee in the ordinance, it's everything that we're already doing.
Right.
So
Which is why
why
we
would
guys
you?
make it
Did you look
clear.
at the road commissioner one at all?
I briefly did.
The
My-
committee didn't discuss it, though, as far as thoughts on that one?
No, my only initial thought on that one, and I did not read it very well. I mean, I didn't scrutinize it, was that there was nothing in there about the road commissioners working with the road committee. we have meetings, and we have one road commissioner come up, attend the meetings almost every time. We have another road commissioner that has never been there. And we need his assistance in even applying for the grants on his side of town.
And we're certain he's being notified of the meetings.
Yes. Anytime, we have a meeting, you're all notified, and both commissioners are notified.
You notify us of the workshops too.
The workshops, absolutely. People, they're open, anyone who
Right,
wants to come is certainly more than welcome, and then everyone will get a notice on that.
I just want to make sure that, on behalf of the selectmen, that you understand, they're not trying to be, that's not their intent with this ordinance. They want to make sure that everybody understands their job and that everybody can do it at the best ability, because we have road commissioners, past and present, that, they go into these positions knowing and expecting to be able to do a job, but they have a committee that they feel like steps over. And road commissioners now, and I'm not going to name either one of them out, but they both have come to me with situations since they've been in these positions, feeling like some things are their jobs that the road committee's kind of doing. So they're asking for it to be clarified as well. So,
Well, in all due respect, the road committee is an advisory board. We have
Right.
no power to issue a directive to anyone. All we do is say, this is what we see, this is what we think, and then you do with it whatever you choose. Whether you act on it or not, that is out of our hands. So we're an advisory board, that is all.
I understand that.
And we certainly understand that.
Thank you. You have anything else on the screen? Anything else? No. Okay, move on to public comment.
Hi, Joyce Maxey. I should have thought of this, and excuse me, I didn't. But here's a citizen's petition that has been done by Susan Meehan, Karen Mannix, and I, requesting to the municipality that the following article be put before the voters for consideration at annual town meeting on June 22nd. Shall this municipality authorize the state to issue licenses for the sale of liquor to be consumed on the premises of licensed establishments on Sundays? And thanks for my two cohorts who stood at the dump. If anybody ever needs signatures, go to the transfer station.
Transfer station,
Excuse me. And wear your long johns, because I don't care what day it was.
Cold up
That
there.
wind up there,
It's a wind tunnel up there.
it's a wind tunnel.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Jen, this goes to
Well,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Give it to the
If
clerk
those are
tomorrow
all
during regular
verified
business hours.
signatures, we'd like to see that on
I
the
will
warrant.
turn it over tomorrow and we'll start looking at it.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other public comments?
I was asked to come up, Jim Driscoll and Susan and a couple other people in the community have been working for an Earth Day roadside cleanup. It's on the 27th at the school, they're meeting at 9 a.m. on the school. They've got, I think, 6 or 7 trucks that have volunteered to pick up trash. The dump has said they'll take anything, so that is cleaned up that day. So, be on the side of the road, look into the woods a little bit, they'll take anything. There was another piece to that, because they had reached out to the Girl Scouts to ask them to help, but Girl Scouts can't help with roadside cleanup. So Jim had come up with an idea to honor the fallen firefighter, for the girls to plant a tree at maybe the fire department, and he was going to donate a plaque, saying that it was in honor of him. And he was originally trying to get that done either the same day or this weekend on the 20th. That did get pushed back to June when the ground's a little softer and a little easier for girls to dig a hole. But he wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that that is something that, we were going to be looking for your permission to be able to do at the fire
I think
station.
it sounds great.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. And that was April 27th on the cleanup?
Yes.
Okay.
And
What time?
did the transfer station decide to take tires?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll take.
And just remember, for liability, it's not a town event. These are volunteers
Not-
on their
right,
own.
Not a town event.
Yep.
Joyce Backstreet, just another plug for some of our kids in town. Today, we got the go-ahead for our, the Acton Odyssey of the Mind kids. We're going to have a fundraiser for them, a comedy night fundraiser, Friday, May 10th. Doors open at 6:30. Comedian Rob Steen and Tom Hayes and one other headliner will be there. It will be at the elementary school. Tickets are $20 apiece. There'll be raffle, there'll be baked goods, sales tables, and all of that to help the kids get to their world championship.
Great.
So, just wanted to put that out there.
Sounds
And you
good.
can call Jen Gore for any information,
Okay.
and I'm sure you'll see posters all over the place soon.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave?
So in regards to the road commissioner's ordinance, when do you, I've got the email, I read through it, jotted some notes. When do you want to sit down? I spoke with Joe and sit down and go over it. There's just maybe some language, some different words here and there we just need to address and
Do
whatever.
we want to
So
try to pick something before the public hearing or after?
That's up to you, but I mean, I think that in all fairness, Mr. Langley's not gonna be in that position one way or the other come July 1, because he chose not to run for it, so I think that we need to, as much as his input is valuable, don't get me wrong, we should bring the other two people that we know have taken out papers and turned them in, as part of that as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
We'll
so
have
they
to,
know what we're,
right.
what's
it's
expected.
just reading through it, we don't,
I mean, you
some
can
of the
email your
language it
changes,
says-
or we can,
Yep.
I
Yep.
can
I
schedule
mean,
something
it's-
depending on what the board wants to do with the road committee. Are you doing these separate or together, before or after the public hearing?
So whatever you guys decide to do, if you want, just.
I'll
yeah,
be in
okay.
contact to schedule something.
All right.
But yeah, based on last night's comment, it sounded like it was the commissioner and committee together
That what?
that would meet,
Oh, okay. So you want to get a joint meeting with everybody?
yes.
Yeah, that would
Just
be,
sit there and throw some ideas back and forth,
Yep.
and,
Yeah.
one of the things that I picked up a lot of is, it talks about highways. Well, we don't have highways. We have, so just the language, we just need to tighten up the language and, and certain things like that there, so. And my last thing, Jennifer, in regards to putting out paving bids, well, you call it whatever. We've got new technology that we need to, there was something that was brought up at Warrant and Finance last night because of the way the warrant is written for the X amount of money for surfacing and paving. Well, if we go to starting to do chip sealing or crack sealing or something, we need to have language correct in that. So saying that, we need to get prices for A, B, C, D. There's going to be quite a little less that we should be asking. It just isn't just basing and servicing roads, so.
Okay.
Yep,
That
and
way they
as
were-
I stated, when the board told me to go out to draft, I'll draft it up, and you
Okay,
guys
yeah.
will contact you two before we do anything with it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
thanks.
I just wanted to add one more thing. I mean, when the road committee and the board of selectmen sit down to talk about the road committee ordinance, I think it would be helpful to have the road commissioners there also, so we can actually bring
Yeah.
some healing to these relationships, so to say, because we all need to work together. I mean, I think all of us want what's best for the town, but the infighting is not helping anyone, and we're not going to get anywhere that way if we don't put a stop to it.
Yep.
And I think that would be the best way, is to have all three groups of people sit and talk about it.
That's what we
and-
want, so.
We just-
Definitely. Okay, any other public comments?
No, I'm heading home. I got an appointment to go to, so. All right, you're all set.
Roland Waterhouse, Warrant Finance Chair. I don't know if you were able to watch last night's meeting as of yet. I know that one of you were in attendance with last night's meeting. As far as the meeting goes with the road commissioners, I didn't have a problem with that. other than one was more prepared than the other. And, based on, his explanation, it's understandable. The problem that Warrant Finance Committee is going to have, and I see it as being a real problem, is they're not going to approve the article, or they're not going to recommend approval of any article that does not specify what's being done, or where the money is coming from, or where the money is going to. First article that we tried to work on was Article 11, which was the fire budget, or the fire station's budget, 900 and some odd $1,000. Almost the entire committee wants to know, it's broken down into two things: wages, salaries, and
Operating budget, or something like that.
yeah, the other part of it
Right.
was operating.
As it has
budget.
been for the last 20 years.
I
Yep.
understand that, and
And you have a breakdown in your books, the same book that's handed
that
out at
doesn't.
town meeting.
Yeah,
What do they want, what do you want to see? You
It's
want to
not
see
what I-
like, well,
it's not-
let me rephrase it. What does the Warren Finance Committee want to see? Do you want to see like so much for office supplies and, you want to see that breakdown?
I wasn't looking for a breakdown.
You said a majority of the committee. What was the majority of the committee like to see?
The majority of the committee wants to know, what are the operating
Okay, so like
things?
office supplies?
What are wages and salaries? They want a complete breakdown of
Okay.
every darn article.
So-
And my comment to the committee last night was, we're never going to get this through,
No.
okay?
It's- we've
You're
never
going to
had to
end
do
up
this.
with a committee that is going to not recommend any of the articles unless they are very specific, okay? I didn't need a breakdown of wages and salaries, I know what that is. I didn't really need a breakdown of operating expenses, okay? But out of 6 voting members on the committee, 5 do.
Okay, so just so I can understand this, I'll go back to the treasurer. So when you say that, so you basically want to take the current budget, like, so you guys have the fire department page in front of you.
They've got that, but what they're
So you just
saying,
want to see that under the article?
what they're saying is it's not clear to the town,
Okay,
to
so
the
why-
voters.
Well, they get a packet to go with it.
let me ask
And they've always had a packet to go with it. In the past, the voters have never said, I don't get it.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so-
I'm in support of,
It's all
I'm just
broken down in
letting,
that, right?
I'm just letting you know what I'm experiencing.
Oh,
Okay.
I was there.
So line
I was there,
items.
but they also wanted account numbers attached to it, and I'll let Jennifer explain why account numbers attached to it will not work.
When she originally mentioned that, I talked to the treasurer, and the thing with account numbers is that the account numbers are an in-house number for our purpose only. So if, for example, we have a new auditor come in and he decides to change the chart of accounts because he doesn't like the way that something is happening, and the fire department, which is account number 104, which means nothing to anybody in this room, he decides to make it 105, if we put the 104 in the warrant, then we can't change the account number. At the end of the day, the voters have to approve on X amount of money for the fire department. Regardless of what that department number is, that amount can't change if the voters decide. If the voters, when you look at the general government, where you've got so much for the selectmen, so much for the town administrator, so much for the CEO, you've got those numbers there.
I understand. it.
The account numbers could change, but the numbers will never change. We do not have the legal authority to spend more than the townspeople appropriate.
I understand that.
Okay, so
I'm just letting you know
Right. So,
that
like-
it's going to be very difficult for
Stop
the
talking so I can ask my
committee-
question. I'm
Speak.
trying to understand what you're asking for, so.
I'm not asking for anything, I'm giving you information.
All right. What you're saying the committee is requesting, let me rephrase that, right? So the committee, 5 out of the 6, do I understand it, so they want us to take like code enforcement, land use, let's say is $70,000. They want
They want a breakdown
on every single department on
on
the warrant article.
everything.
Got
If
it.
you've got an article, they want a breakdown.
I'll put it on the agenda next week for the board to discuss with the treasurer.
I don't necessarily support that request.
I understand.
I'm just passing it on.
Yep.
Okay?
Was
It's
there any
going to be
reason
very,
for-
very difficult.
Any reason why this year all of a sudden they wanted that? What changed?
I really don't want to go into it.
Oh, okay.
I would prefer having private conversations.
I don't think they were just picking on the fire department. It
Well, no, I was
happened
just
to
using a
start-
department.
No, they're not picking on any one department, okay? You're not going to get anybody to support a recommendation of yes. Here's a block of money, $900,000.
Right.
Yes or no? What are you going to use it for? How are you going to spend it?
It's,
I understand that.
No, makes sense.
we
I-
can't,
It's-
it makes sense, but we can't put
I
that,
understand that.
all of that on
The
the
thing about
warrant.
it, you
It
know-
would be 80 pages long.
I got 75 articles that you want me to make a recommendation on, and I can't get one,
Because, yeah.
okay?
Okay.
I will continue to push, all right? And I have somebody standing behind me that's going to further elaborate, I'm sure. Correct, Mr. Long? I'm done.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you for clarifying what the committee was looking for. I just didn't understand.
I really wasn't going to speak tonight, but
Everybody knows who you are, but please, for the record,
Dennis
state your
Long.
name. Thank you.
the issue, I guess, that what I took from it was the account number. If this warrant article is for, like Roland said, this is for the salaries and stuff like that. And then you have another warrant article that, for capital improvement. And what they were asking was, it doesn't show what account this stuff is going to. You know what I mean? And it says the department with a number. And that was the question we had, why you can't put the account that it's going to in the warrant article. And this was the question that was raised. And everybody agreed that they didn't know why it couldn't be, and they'd like to see it there.
So just for a quick example, if we have a department that has $1,000, and let's say the warrant article is to raise and appropriate $1,000 for something, if we break it down one step further and we say, okay, $800 is for salary, $100 is for postage, and $100 is for office equipment. If the postage rate changes in the middle of the year, they're not going to be able to go over that $100. The way it stands now, the way the voters approve it, the bottom line can't go over the 1,000. So you have 800 for the salary, 100 for the office supplies, and 100 for postage. So if postage goes up, you're not getting as much office supplies, because you still can't change that bottom line. So if the board agrees and goes forward with that line items like that, that's what's gonna happen. You are gonna have absolutely no wiggle room in anything happening if it's voted on by line item, just so you know.
My intention, anyway, my comments weren't to get it broken down to that level, Jen.
Okay.
My thought was, what account is it going to? You see what I'm saying?
Well, if it says salaries, you just wanna see the number next to it?
Well, this is what I'm saying. You get your capital improvement. Say you get 3 different articles or 4 different articles, whatever it is I'm gonna use the fire department. Then whatever account that money we're voting on goes into, so that if it all goes to one account, then, say if, for the fire equipment, the new truck or whatever, if it's all listed at the same account, whatever it is, 105 or 405, whatever it is, then essentially you're putting it all in one lump amount, the townspeople are, and it's not separated out the way it's written,
So I
the
guess
way we
maybe,
vote on it.
maybe attending another Warren and Finance Committee meeting might be helpful, so that we're not spending too much time breaking down the $1,000 scenario that I gave you, because that's what I thought I understood from Roland. But on the other side of it, if it's a capital improvement, the article says capital improvement for the fire truck fund. They can't legally spend that money on anything else.
I
So
appreciate that,
I mean, I'm
but
trying
if
to
it's the
think of what
same number,
article-
if it's the same number for the different warrant article, because it's all for the department,
Right, but-
not the account. And that was the issue. And as far as the breakdown, anybody, as Elise will tell you, I've asked with the fire chief, I've asked with the roads, and I plan on doing the same thing with you guys in a couple of weeks, asking an explanation about what this money's for. And I feel, as a warrant finance committee member, it being elected, that this is my responsibility to have it brought out into the public,
Absolutely.
what this money's for, and then, even if I know the answer myself, but I'm not gonna stand there and speak for you. It's your budget, you're the one that's asking for the money, and it's up to you guys to explain it to the voters. The fire chief, for example, he's not here, but my understanding was from conversations that he was very happy with the meeting he had with the warrant finance committee with all the questions and stuff, so he could put everything out there for everybody to understand. People get a little bit short sometimes because some people think I talk too much. But I do ask a lot of questions, and I think that's my job as an elected official. I think it's my responsibility to bring all that out so that when people do vote on it,
I understand.
if they can't read it, they sometimes can watch it or listen to it.
And, I mean, from my point, I know from Michelle's point, the clearer the better. I mean, we have, the more we can put out there, the better. We have nothing to hide with any of these budgets. So I mean, I agree with you. I just want to make sure we understand the difference of, you don't want this $1,000 broken down like this, but you want that. So I'm just thinking more conversations. But the fire chief, and the last thing I'll say, is a good example, because knowing he's leaving, if we have a salary that we're going to say right now is $65,000, the board has clearly said they're not going to pay somebody else coming into that at that same amount. So if the townspeople appropriate $650,000 and the line item shows $65,000 for his budget, for his salary, if they end up hiring somebody at 45, they should be able to use that on other areas in the fire department if the townspeople appropriated it.
We'll see, that's,
Right, so we need to get clarity on how much, and it'll be a whole committee question, how much of a breakdown they want to see.
right.
So that we can get back to them.
And I guess I'm going back to, it's a little different, but with the school department, you had all these different categories for a department. And then in the warrant articles, it ends up being congested like we have them. But.
And the Warren Finance didn't have any
but they
concern with that?
But they go to the accounts.
Right, right.
Don't we have?
So a happy medium, we
You
put
see
the
what I'm
account numbers
saying?
on there and not itemize
You do.
on the
Yeah,
warrant?
yeah.
Let me talk to Michelle, and we'll bring it back to the board next
That's
week.
that's my take.
I worry about numbers changing, software's crashing, but if we have to, we'll deal with it then.
It
so.
might
Maybe
be,
in the word talking about account, it's not so much account number as it is account description.
Is that what you're,
yeah, that could be.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
tie it to Trio's expense account, if that account has to change for some reason, do you know what I mean? But I hear what you're saying. Let's bring Michelle into it and bring the full board and the full Warren and Finance, and we'll
And
find
maybe
a-
nobody will agree with what I just told you. I have no idea. But that was
Bring it back
my,
to the whole
Okay.
committee.
that was my take.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. And Dennis, by the way, not so much the questions you ask, but the answers that you give us are very important too. So, okay, any other public comment? Nope, announcements.
I didn't have time to come up with
We
any.
really don't have any. I mean, we.
Well,
have-
I'm sure we
have
do,
Earth Day,
but
we
it
have
was
Earth-
tax
yeah,
day.
We have the Earth Day cleanup, April 27th at 9 a.m. We have the comedy show, May 10th at the school. What time was that gonna be?
6:30?
6:30? And that was $20 a head on that. So, that's what we have for announcements.
The library is having their water talk tomorrow at 2 o'clock here in the town hall on aquatic invasives.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
Anything else? Anything else, Jennifer?
No, sir.
We're here meeting,
Yes,
motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Night all.